What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Round 11 Game Day Squad Football Show brought to you by the Game Day Society. Joined by Zonald, as always. How you going, Zonald?
I'm good. I think I'm getting a little sick, but apart from that, I'm all good.
Oh, so good. Is that from the family, kids stuff, or is it
Yeah,
just,
one of the kids
yeah,
got it first, and I'm probably gonna get it now.
gross? Sounds horrible. Um, how's your Game Day Squad going, though? More importantly, how'd you go last week?
Oh, good. I finally finished around first overall one of the comps, so I'm top
Nice.
of contender at the moment, which is nice. How about
Very
yourself?
nice. Uh, I think my best result was probably champion, came sixth.
That's it. Yeah.
Starter came not great, in the hundreds. Classic, not great, 42nd, but enough to qualify.
Yep.
And Challenger, 16th. So, like, the roundabouts in the higher end, but the lower ones kind of dropped down a little bit, but still happy. But yeah, crucially, in the cup, which I assume you're the same, given how well you've been going.
Yeah, I've got. I think it's Prison Mike on the Discord, so that'll
Oof,
be
that'll be a big
interesting.
matchup.
Yeah.
It's a big name. I don't know who my opponent is, which is sometimes good, sometimes bad. Coming from experience from the AFLW Cup, where I actually went quite far. When I knew who I was playing, I was able to kind of go back and
Oh
forth and work
yeah.
out who they had. Whereas when I didn't know, it was terrifying because you just can't make decisions based on what the other side's doing. So yeah,
Yeah, I was
it's one
playing
of
with
those tricky
Jax
ones.
about the same thing.
Yeah, it's real tricky. But yeah, we'll push on to round 11, because, well, sorry, we'll start with a quick summary of round 10. Obviously, there are a few big scores. Haaland, obviously, one of the big ones. Most people would have had him. But Gomez scored a couple. Declan Rice would have been a decent pick for some people, as well as Xhaka. And then, yeah, Gabriel's pretty standard up there at the top of the defence. Did you pick many of these top players? I know it's quite a small thing there, but you probably know who the better
Yeah,
names were.
so I had Haaland, Cunha, Rice was a big one that I should have had. Like I was deciding
Mm,
between him and Sosbolai, and then even right towards deadline before I went to sleep, I was like, I could probably go Mbuemo to Rice, but I think it was just like the fear of missing out after Mbuemo's big score the week before.
yeah, no, 100%.
Um,
And I feel like this is the first week where a lot of the top team of the round has just been big selectable names. Like, most of
yeah,
these people would have been in contention for most people, apart from maybe
right.
Gomez. Diallo might have been a bit of a roughie, but they're all decent, kind of respectable names. So kind of getting to the territory where maybe we can be picking these a bit better than we had been in the last few rounds.
Yeah,
And I got some of the winners there for each competition. Unlike last round, it looks like the scores actually do go up based on the competition. Whereas last round we had the classic winning everything overall, but it's good to see the champion kind of just going big again. But
yeah. Like even in Classic, Luppy had a really big week. I'm not sure how much he beat second by, but just tracking him, I think he picked Xhaka to finish the week. And
yeah,
yeah, just tipped him over the line.
great call. Beautiful. But let's just crack on to the fixtures for round 11, because I know that's why a lot of people are here. And I know you've probably got some pearlers for everyone,
Mm.
as always. So the first game of the round coming, oh, actually, forgot my order of the slides again. But
No, we've already
quick,
discussed the cup anyway.
yeah, we've already talked about the cup, but basically qualification is now over. If you got in, you would have got an email. Make sure you check that email, because there is a pack code in there as well, hidden at the bottom. So if you did qualify, you got yourself a free, I think it's a 9-player common pack. So make sure you claim that. But we are still accepting offers for the bounty, for the Game Day Society Cup bounty, where you can add a little bit of an extra stake to the competition. If you beat someone who's also in the bounty, you claim the card they've put up. If you lose, you hand over the card you've put up, but you also get your name on a prize wheel each week. Um, in terms of the timeline, because the lockout for entry is the end or the start of lockout for this round, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the first prize wheel at lockout, just so we can get a prize wheel with everyone who entered on it. Just was going to do it on the show, but then there would potentially be people missing out who will join in the next couple of days. So we'll get that sorted on Saturday night in the Discord. And then going forward, the draw will be on the show each week. But now I think I have my slides in order correct. Awesome. First game coming in hot. 10:30 my time, probably 11:30. I think everyone else's time. Daylight saving time. Tottenham versus Man United. Now this is going to be a big game to start the round because there's going to be a lot of names in here that people are considering. Every week we talk about the Manchester United midfield being a pretty dependable pick in, Bruno and Buemo. Any insight this week into whether they're still selectable or just fixture proof?
I'd go I could see options from both. Spurs have had the upper hand in the last few against them, and that's without Frank at the club. So I sort of think it'll head Tottenham's way.
Okay.
But yeah, you could get scorers on both sides. And Buemo's had 4 goals and an assist in 8 meetings when he played for Brentford against Spurs. So he's got form with probably a similar sort of form team, given how United's picked up things. Who else? Kudus has had 1 goal and an assist in 3 against United for West Ham. Cunha's been 1-1 from 4 meetings, so not too great. So I'm leaning less towards him than I was last week. Apart from that,
less in a side though that probably would have had less opportunity in the past. So
yeah, exactly.
I guess take that with a grain of salt. Yeah.
Yeah, did all the work at Wolves, but yeah, the supply may not have been there. In terms of other players I like, Ahmed, that now he's playing back on the right wing back role. He's looked pretty good. He was one of the high scorers last week. Again, he appears in the stats, and he's scored and assisted in the last 5 against Spurs. So potential pod option. He is a forward in GameDay Squad though, so sort of limits if you do play him or not. I'm more likely to lean towards Bruno still because it's just another game where I don't think they'll necessarily press too high. So we might get Bruno building up his stats as usual. And Buemo's consideration because of how well he's played against them in the past. Kudus, I'm considering, but midfield's really tricky to select this week because there's so many options and so many ways you could go.
Yeah, I like Bruno purely relevant to any fixture at this point now because he's only had 2 scores below 15 all year, a 6 and a 10. Everything else above 15, which is perfectly great, to be honest, for your midfield. Buemo is still pretty consistent, just slightly below that number, but he's on par with the, scoring without necessarily contributing. So I do like those fixtures. Kudus has been underperforming the last couple of weeks, probably you've called it rightfully, the last 2 rounds, probably not to play him in the show because of the fixture. Do you think the 1 goal and 1 assist is enough to bring him back in? Or
in 3 playing for West Ham, I think it's all right. I forgot to check if he actually did it across multiple games or if it was just both in the 1 game. So that has me second, because I currently don't have him in my midfield, so I'm sort of second guessing it. The most likely Spurs player I go with is Porro. I feel like Tottenham's more likely to keep it clean in this one. Even if he doesn't, I could see him assisting or creating a load of chances down that side.
Yeah. Nice. And then, to be honest, that's probably it for me, who I'd be looking at. Vicario's come into a little bit of form the last couple of weeks after being pretty unconvincing. He's gone 17.5 and 18.75 for the last 2, which are pretty decent.
Last week without a clean
scores. Yeah.
He just made a load of saves against Chelsea.
Yeah, and I feel like this is the kind of game where he could make a lot of saves again. So I don't mind him as an option this week. But I think there are probably better keeper options, and his floor score is very bad. So
Yeah.
there's like a lot of ifs for me with him. But yeah, I think that's probably it. I probably wouldn't be going near the United defenders, as you mentioned. Is probably unlikely to keep a clean sheet. Yeah. Let's jump into the next one. Up next, we have Everton and Fulham. So this is the first of the 1 a.m. games.
Yeah.
So Jack Grealish, let's start with him. Hasn't been showing the same level of, I guess, return that we saw in the first, what was it, 6 weeks, whatever it was, where he was absolutely dominant and fixture proof.
Yeah.
Do you think? Do you think people are maybe, or teams are maybe adapting to his, able to shut him down a bit better, or do you think it's just the fixtures, or he had that 1 week off? Do you think maybe that affected things?
So I watched this game, and the problem with it was he half the time, at least for the first half, he was sitting playing at left back because of how deep Everton had to defend to deal with Sunderland. Sunderland just looked unbelievable on the ball, like spread straight away when they got possession, filtered back, caused that to happen, and Dyer to like sort of drift back as well, Grealish more so. So the problem there was when they tried to feed him to go out, he just had to clear the ball because he had no one to pass to, and he didn't want to dribble past like 3 or 4 players. So I think it was just fixture related. I'm more confident in this Fulham game because I think he'll struggle less. They won't sit back as much, or they won't be forced back. Fulham actually like a first for conceding fouls drawn as well. So that's one of the stats Grealish sort of feeds off, drawing fouls.
It's a very fallible kind of player.
Yeah.
Jumping over to Fulham, there's been a few standouts over there the last few weeks. Like Iwobi's been pretty consistently up there without a attacking return. I guess the first question is, how do you see this game playing out? Like, do you see clean sheets either side? Do you see goals either side?
Pretty close. Like last three out of the last 5 have been draws. So I'd expect it to be a close game. And there's been 3 combined clean sheets across the 5 ends. So this could be a game where you sort of chance your luck on picking the team who gets the clean if there is one. Although I don't know, I don't currently have defenders from either team. I think I'd be more likely to go for Pickford or Leno.
I don't mind Leno this round, just because I think there's the potential to be a few saves there, and he's been in pretty decent touch the last few rounds, and pretty like mid kind of mid tens acceptable scores, which I think I'd be comfortable with.
Yeah.
Sorry, one thing I forgot to mention at the start is we are going to be spinning the prize wheel at the end, where we'll be opening up at 3 All-Star packs. And as always, we'll be giving away a row of each pack to lucky winners. So all you have to do is get involved in the chat, ask questions, answer questions. We'll keep an eye on it, try and answer as much as we can. And at the end, we'll put your name on the wheel and we'll open some packs and hopefully get you guys some All-Stars. But yeah, anyone else from this one that you're looking at, or just not too much?
Not really. The thing I will say is that Everton's only lost 1 home game all season. It was to Spurs, when Spurs arguably played their best game of the year. Fulham haven't won in the league either. So if that's anything to go by, it might be an Everton win if it's not a draw. Which NDI might be an option to go with again. He looked pretty good against a strong Sunderland backline last week.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to use up one of your few forward spots on him, though, isn't it? That's the tricky thing.
Yeah, this week there's a lot of good options up front as well.
Yeah. So I'll move on to the next one. We've got West Ham and Burnley as the next game, and there's obviously at least one forward in here that would be looking at. Bowen. Probably underrated, you'd say, so far.
Yeah, so I think some people have started to get onto him though. Like the last couple of weeks in general, he's just got his stats up, so he scored well. So people are starting to click onto that. West Ham a bit yo-yo-ish under Nuno. I think that's having teething issues, still learning the game plan. Yep. But Bowen back on the wing he just seems to accumulate the stats necessary. And like him and Paqueta are both high in stats that Burnley concede. Burnley are one of the worst teams for conceding like the main stats. I think they're first for key passes conceded, first for shots conceded, first for accurate crosses conceded, and then like second for aerial duel wins. So
Yeah,
a lot of like areas they could dominate in.
Yeah, I think they're two pretty high up there picks for me this week. What about jumping over to the Burnley attack? As you can see, West Ham give away a fair few points to forwards. Anthony's been in pretty hot touch at the start, dropped off a little bit since, probably fixture dependent. But do you see this as a potential option to pick him this week?
Yeah, if you want to go like super outlandish, and that's the sort of play where like he could end up scoring a couple because it's West Ham, and then it wins you a cup match you are unlikely to win. Albeit, like I said, there's a lot of good forward options this week, so he's not really in my thoughts. But if I was to go a bit more of a pod, I would look at him. I'm more on for Burnley Dubravka on the chance that those two, Paqueta and Bowen, do dominate, but Dubravka just like he's done all season, makes a huge amount of saves, and then sort of even without the clean sheet, he does all right.
Yeah, he's basically the only one who's scoring consistently for Burnley. Anthony started strong, but Dubravka's holding those, 10 to 20 kind of scores all season, which is pretty handy. Anyone else from West Ham you consider, or just the two?
I thought about the defenders, but then there's no one that makes sense. I think Mavropanos is injured. Kilman's had some really bad negative scores from memory. Wan-Bissaka gets rotated. Diouf isn't a defender in the game, so doesn't really make sense to go there.
Yeah, probably a bit of too much of a risk on that one.
Yeah.
All right. Cracking on to another big game, which is probably surprising from the start of the season, Sunderland Arsenal. Now, Sunderland, like you said, have been in great touch, but Arsenal are probably the hardest side to come up against, I'd say, in a fantasy perspective.
Yeah, so I don't mind it too much for Sunderland, mainly because Arsenal are very heavy on the set pieces, not really reliant, but they do score a lot from there, and they tend to nick that 1-0, 2-0 wins from them. Ballard argued the best on set pieces in terms of aerial ability in the league, so he's going to be difficult for at least one of their players to match up on. Albeit they've got 5 or 6 tall options, Arsenal do, so it might come from somewhere else. But the fact they have Mulir, Ballard, Fernandes, all as tall centre-backs, they cover a lot of bases. So I think Arsenal will still win, and it could be the fact that they get an early goal and then Sunderland just fall to pieces. But I would think this will be pretty close.
So are you considering starting someone like a Ballard, or is it still too risky for you?
So Arsenal do concede a lot of blocks and clearances, which is pretty obvious because they're attacking more than a lot of teams, producing the defenders to have to do those actions. So there's a chance you could play Ballard, who's pretty good at that sort of stuff, and he's been stacking points. Did it against Everton without the clean. It's just dependent on, are Arsenal going to end up with a 5-0 here, or will they keep it close? And then my thoughts are Arsenal could easily just blow this out.
Yeah. So I guess jumping over to the other side then, Arsenal have a lot of selectable players. Saka, forward. A lot of people pegged him for a great score last week. Didn't really return, but was a pretty common pick, so it didn't cost too many people.
Yeah.
Any concerns with the lack of return against the Burnley side?
Not really. Sort of just a one-off. I was watching. So he'll play the same side as NDI did for Everton, and they struggled to contain him. So they're going to struggle to contain Saka, I reckon. Albeit I hear Gyökeres is out, which sort of forces Mourinho into the striker role. So even sort of better for Sunderland, I would imagine.
Yeah. I've actually got a question here in the chat from Mind Gaming. Do you think Royce is a play against Arsenal?
Yeah, it's just what we just said. So do you think Arsenal are going to end up wiping the floor with them, or is it going to stay close? And I would like to think it's going to stay close, but just the potential that Arsenal will end up wiping the floor like they have with a couple of other of the newer teams, then yeah, I won't personally go there.
Same, I won't be. I've got a couple of other options I'm going with. Declan Rice, big week last week, starting to kind of show maybe what we were expecting pre-season with him, like that more kind of able to score points in many different areas. Is he someone who could thrive in a Sunderland game, given it might be a bit tighter, or is it going to be one to stay away from him?
So the interesting thing about Sunderland is they actually don't concede too many of the general stats, or at least high amounts of them. They're only in the top 5 for one thing, and that's accurate crosses, which Rice is good at because he does take some set pieces and he does generally make a lot of crosses. I think he's like at least top 3 for Arsenal in that stat. So he's not a bad decision, and like he's one of the many options in midfield. I'm going elsewhere, but he's definitely in my thoughts. I'm also towards Gabriel, and I'm back in Timber in again. Timber got subbed on, I think, for the Champions League to replace White at about the 70th minute.
He was either on or off. I think he was off for White in the Champions League, but he didn't play a full game. So that's, I think, reassuring.
Calafiori didn't play at all, which is interesting. It's just I don't like the fact that they've now got Lewis Skelly and Hincape who can play on that left back side.
Yeah, I'm finally in the camp where I'm going to start playing 2 Arsenal defenders. I've played Gabriel basically every week, been too scared to play Timber, I think, just from fear of the rotation.
Yeah.
But I think the way that he's scoring, like he's gone basically.
He wasn't great last week, which is unusual. Like he didn't stack stats; he just got the clean and banked that. Yeah, so I'm on the same with you for that one.
Yeah, I'm getting him in this week, and then look, if he's out, we've got emergencies. Although for the last couple of weeks, my emergency defender has fired, so I do probably need to be careful. But I think it's worth the risk.
The main problem with the rotation for him is he's probably likely to come on if he doesn't start, which sucks for the emergency stuff. However, so most people to get to the 2 Arsenal like defender / goalkeepers in will go on Gabriel and Raya. And I've had this chat with a lot of people now. Problem with Raya, and it's now becoming a problem in Fantasy Premier League too, because he's just getting clean sheets there, not saves. I think Arsenal conceded 1 shot on target in the past 3 or 4 weeks, if not 5. So what happens is he gets the base 10 for doing nothing outside of minutes and clean sheet for a keeper, which is all right. Bank 10 points. The problem is a lot of the 50-50 games, even without a clean sheet, keepers are getting above that. So you may as well just select from the 50-50 close games. Other problem is, and this has happened to Donnarumma because he was in a certain similar situation against Burnley. If for some reason they concede an own goal or a goal out of nowhere that they shouldn't have conceded, or they get a penalty against them, he's going to drop straight to 0 or negative.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just not worth it if Arsenal are going to be this good to the point they're not conceding shots.
It's cool. See, he's always been someone I think I've just kept in my emergency slot, just because I'm pretty confident he'll get the 10. I'll be happy with a 10 if for some reason my picks don't play. In a goalkeeper emergency, it's pretty unlikely that they're not going to be starting because the selections are pretty clear. But starting him on the field does seem like a bit of you're leaving points on the table if you do it. So yeah. Anyone else from that Arsenal side? Eze starting to kind of pick up a little bit, but still not
still prefer
selectable.
him to go left wing. Unfortunate for him too is when Odegaard comes back. I assume he'll keep the role for a bit when Odegaard comes back, but Trossard's been pretty good at left wing.
Yeah,
he's holding my out of the team.
That was a great shout by you last week. I think you played him, didn't you? And yeah,
this is based on historical.
Yeah, one of your pods, and just absolutely nailed it. All right, we'll crack on. Next up, we got Chelsea Wolves, another big game. Wolves are a side that we've been targeting, but backfired a little bit last week, hey? So
Yeah.
Is it?
I think you
Sorry,
sort of need to go Chelsea attackers here.
Yeah.
So last 5 games for these two teams, 5.6 goals on average in a game. So there's probably going to be goals. Interesting thing is, so Chelsea have won most of the. I think they've won 3 at, and Wolves have won 2. So there's many draws, but there's been no clean sheets in the past 5 minutes between them. I think a lot of people are going towards Chelsea, and I'm still sort of backing it, given it's at Chelsea's home and how bad Wolves have been in comparison to other seasons. Their most recent fixture was just in the cup the other week, where Chelsea won 3-4 with a rotated team. So I'm pretty confident that Chelsea will probably step up, given it's the league. So you can still go to the defenders. I wouldn't be going anywhere near Reece James because he played 4 minutes in the Champions League, and he tends not to back up 2 full games.
Interesting.
There you go.
So like a Cucurella probably then would be an option.
Cucurella, Chalobah tends to score well most weeks. So I've currently got Chalobah in there. Cucurella played 4 minutes too, but he tends to be able to back it up. His backup in Haddo was actually starting in centre back, so makes me even more confident Cucurella is going to make the game.
And do we trust how Pedro again?
Yeah, so Delap's back. He should start on the weekend, I imagine, which means Enzo drop back to DM. Enzo tends to play more of a Roman midfielder role. So last year he played that, and he still was like one of the top point scorers for the season. So I think he'll be fine still if you're going to go that way in midfield. Pedro in Cam is just a lot better than he is at striker for me in terms of what he can do and what he can score. And against Wolves, I'd back him to do really well there. Funnily enough, he hasn't scored or assisted against Wolves in 2 attempts for Brighton, but that doesn't change much for me.
I think he's definitely in consideration for me. Possibly, I can't remember if I've got him in my side, which we're about to show, but he's definitely been in and out a lot. And Palmer's obviously out. I think it looks like 1 more week, maybe back after international last I heard, but
That's probably
yeah.
Another good option, comes out well on the stats. He's been playing well recently, and it's his
sorry?
Pedro Neto.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, comes out on the stats. Old team. I like when players match up against their old teams, they tend to play a bit better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's a good shout. Pedro Neto's kind of one of those players who maybe goes a bit unnoticed because there's better options within the team, so he kind of falls back off the radar. But yeah, I don't mind that.
In game, then he'd be in GameDay Squad, then he'd be selected a lot more.
Yeah. And did you mention Casado as an option, or?
Yeah, I like it a bit less now that if Enzo does drop into DM, because it means Casado's literally going to stay back and hold the defense. Still available for those defensive stats, but I don't think they'll be doing too much of that against Wolves.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I'm assuming you're not considering any Wolves players this week?
No, Bueno and Arias both still accumulate stats really well, but yeah, I'm not going to pick them in this.
Yeah, last week they didn't accumulate the stats, though, which was a problem. So,
good performance from them.
Yeah, exactly. So, I agree. I'd stick away. But Strand Larson maybe gives a little bit more confidence, but it's still not worth a shout in this kind of game.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Aston Villa versus Bournemouth.
Probably one of the more interesting games of the round.
I was about to say, because both sides seem like they could do all right on this just on paper. But I think you were saying midweek that there's some interesting kind of starter for this one that might kind of sway your selections.
Your stats as well now back out that I'm seeing them over on the Bournemouth side. So this is one that I think people are going to absolutely sleep on, maybe because we mention it now and mention how much info backs it up that he'll be popular. But Watkins has 2 goals, 4 assists in the past 5 against Bournemouth. They concede 7.32 points more to forwards. He comes out in 4 stat categories where he's top 3 for Villa, and Bournemouth are top 5 in the league for conceding. He's just like a no-brainer pick this week for me. Like if he's coming up that much and everything, then I sort of have to select him. And if he does bad, oh well. Like the data all backed it up. The only slight concern I have with him is he got benched a couple of weeks ago out of the blue for Malin. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen again. But yeah, I'm sort of on the fence of backing him in for this one.
Yeah, and so what about the other Aston Villa options? Are they as interesting to you? So like Rogers or Mallon, like you mentioned, or are you a bit worried about the who's going to be actually playing?
I wouldn't back Malin. Rogers has some form against them, like a 1 goal and 1 assist in the last 5. But since they're both forwards, if Rogers was midfield, is a bit different. But both forwards, I'm only going to pick one, and like Watkins is way ahead of Rogers in everything.
Yeah, and jumping over to the other side, Semenyo has been a great shout for most of the season. Had a couple of blanks recently though, but probably more fixture dependent than actual form. What about this one? Not great for forwards against Aston Villa, surprisingly, but obviously he's kind of scoring everywhere, like points everywhere. Do
Yeah,
you like him this week, or is
not really. I'm going to stay away, and it might be one where I like sort of go, oh, I should have played him when he does score well. But he's only scored 1 goal in the past 5 against them. Villa tend to have the wood in this fixture. Like Bournemouth haven't won in the past 5. There's been 2 draws and 3 Villa wins. What else? I'm pretty certain. Let's have a look. Bournemouth have only won once away in the league this season. They've had 2 draws, 2 losses. Villa have only lost once at home this season. They've had 3 wins at home. So it's also sort of pointing towards going Villa assets. A lot of people still underrate Villa players. So they could be players that sort of win you the cups this week if a lot of people don't now end up jumping onto them. Because people should still be on Bournemouth off of just like the eye test. Oh, Bournemouth are good, Villa are bad. Let's pick Bournemouth players in this one.
get Matt Cash then for Villa if you're on Aston Villa to kind of get the result here? Matty Cash has been probably the best. He has been the best scorer for Aston Villa so far this season.
Yep.
Pretty consistently scoring well. Has got a couple of attacking returns as well.
Yep, for
Is
sure.
he an option?
Yeah, 100%. Defenders are hard to pick this week too. So I think he's fine. I don't think there'll be a huge amount of clean sheets in the week. So you can sort of like afford to pick players who might do well in other things than just purely going for the clean sheets. I think it's a better idea this week to go for the games you think are going to be really low scoring for your defenders. If not, then who you think will have actions that will lead to a lot of points.
Yeah, nice. And then I guess on the other side, Senesi would be the defender from Bournemouth. But if you're thinking Aston Villa get up, then maybe lean away from that one.
Yeah, it's a bit of a like you could still go them. I think Trafford is a better option than Senesi this week. Comes out a bit better in some of the stats.
Okay.
Probably going to have the Westend as a matchup, if not Malin, which I sort of like for him. Yeah. But yeah.
Now, let's jump on to the next one, which is Brentford Newcastle. There was a player in this one which we both kind of flagged as our pod for the week,
Yeah.
I think, which I was pretty happy with it. I actually picked it as well. But who do you like in this one?
There's a few good players in this one, and a lot of historical stuff on it. Newcastle, I like both Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes. I would only go one because I don't like stacking from 2 teams in this sort of game. So Bruno has 1 goal, 3 assists in the past 5. Tonali has 3 goals in the past 5 against Brentford. Albeit 2 of those came in the same game. So I'll be thinking about both up until lockout. I've currently got Bruno, but I had Tonali yesterday, so I'm swapping back and forth with them. I think they'll both be half decent plays in the midfield when it's a bit harder to pick. There's plenty of options on both sides here. It's one of those 50-50 games where I've currently got I think both my keepers are in this. No, they're not. It's currently Pope, and I've got Sells as my other keeper. But like
Yeah,
Kelleher's an
right.
option too if you think Brentford can hold it out at home.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think yeah, Newcastle are one of the better sides to play. You like keep a score better against Newcastle, I think, because they do
For
get
these
shots off,
shots.
but yeah. But the player I was talking about was Coyote in defence
Yep,
for
Kyoto.
Brentford. You picked him because he came out good in a bunch of stats. I picked him because he came out in stats in my spreadsheet, which was very exciting that it's finally working.
So they lined
Um,
up with each other as well.
yeah. So, what do you like about him?
Yeah, so there's 4 statistical categories. He's in the top 3 for Brentford. That Newcastle are top 5 conceding. So like plenty of stats there that say he's going to score well regardless of the clean sheet. It's a similar thing to a couple of weeks back when I said Williams had 4 or 5 stat categories he was in a similar position for. So regardless of the clean sheet, Williams still hit a 10.5. Great for a defender anyway. So it could be a similar situation here where Brentford at home I like anyway. Um, Newcastle have struggled away, I think, this season. Let's have a look. Brentford have only lost once at home this season. It was a 1-0 to Man City. Newcastle have not won away in the league this season. They've had 3 draws and 2 losses. So I think it stays pretty low scoring. But I think that Coyote, in any case, is going to get some points, and it's like just tops it off if he manages a clean sheet.
Um, Obviously, last week, Walter Mate was probably a popular pick. I know he was in the top 5 for a few kind of rankings, but subbed at half time.
Yeah, with
What
Gordon. I
was,
don't know what that was
yeah,
about.
yeah, it just takes away any confidence I have in him. Like, I think we're talking about it earlier in the week or maybe on the weekend when it happened. I don't see it being a long-term problem, but it just
Well,
hurts.
just think when Visa's back, that's now like at halftime, the tall man's not playing well. I'll sub on the quick player. Um, Gordon, I think, is out, by the way. I think he injured himself in the Champions League. Got subbed
Okay.
off anyway. I don't know if he's actually injured now.
Yeah. But
Um,
I still like
yeah,
I mean, this is probably not the matchup anyway for it, but
I
it's
probably
yeah.
wouldn't go with attackers here. Like midfielders, I think you're going to be fine because Bruno can sort of stack. Bruno and Tonali can sort of get points without having to
Mhm.
assist or score. But it's just they've historically done it, so it's worth sort of leaning that way if they play well against the particular team.
Yeah.
Another thing with Coyote is Brentford have been they adopted the long throw like well before a lot of teams. I think a lot of teams copied them. Um,
Mhm.
Coyote is one that can really launch it into the penalty spot, and he's got Collins, Thiago, and Vanderberg to aim for. So that's an assist too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great shout. Um, yeah, I think I'm probably staying clear of Newcastle and maybe just Coyote for me. But yeah, go to the next one. So the 8th game of the round, Crystal Palace versus Brighton.
Yeah,
This is a tricky one for me because Crystal Palace have kind of been a foundation for our defence or our defensive lines for most of the season. But Brighton are the worst team statistically for defenders to match up against. So, do you think that the quality of the Crystal Palace defence can kind of overcome that stat and still make it worthwhile picking one, or are you staying away?
do you want me to talk about it even more? So Palace haven't kept a clean sheet in this fixture for the past 10 meetings. They haven't kept a clean sheet at home in this fixture for the last 8 meetings.
Jeez, and Brighton just love scoring but also conceding.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it strikes me as a game that's not going to be a clean sheet here. Probably
So
a
5 of the past 8 as well have ended 1-1. So it wouldn't surprise me if it's another 1-1 where Minte scores on the counter and then Mateta scores, something like that.
yeah. So in saying that, are you staying away from Crystal Palace defenders?
Uh, like it's another one where you're sort of and ahhing leading into lockout, and you could end up sneaking one in. I didn't mind Henderson at the start of the week, and I still don't because he could get some saves from the likes of Minte. The fact it's at Palace is more likely that maybe I go, oh, everyone's playing a Palace defender, I better sneak one in. Palace have 2 wins at home, 3 draws this season. They're actually unbeaten at home, whereas Brighton's lost 4 and drawn 1 away.
And what about Danny Welbeck's form? Is he like...
Scored 2, assisted 1 in the past 5 against Palace.
Yeah, and he seems like he's in like this incredible form, but I'm just like, he's Danny Welbeck, he can't keep doing this. But he's playing better than he ever was when he was like young in his prime. So maybe he is in his prime now.
He's one of those strikers that knows where to run, where to be to get the like easy finish. Although not all of his goals are easy finishes. So given how stacked the forward options are this week, he's always sitting there. Like the last 2, I've been really tempted to play him as my 4th forward, but I had Trossard last week before I went with Salah. Only lost like 4 points in the Salah week. I think he went well again last week, Welbeck, but I think it was pretty similar to Trossard.
Yeah.
I'd be more likely if I was picking a striker in this game to go down the Sarr route. He's got 2 goals in the past. Like Mateta does too. Mateta's had 2 goals in the past 5 against Brighton. So they're both sort of there as historical goal scorers in the matchup. But I just sort of like Sarr up against those 2 big defenders and like breaking the lines.
Yeah. I think Mateta probably will be a more popular pick in this one just because he's, recent form, had hat-trick a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? And then still scoring. Sarr hasn't been returning as well, but I do like that shout that he's...
Yeah. I think that injury really, like, he was on fire before the injury. He was like probably another half-decent performance away from being like, oh, we've got to play him every week now, but then we've got to play Semenyo now, then we've got to play Saka, we've got to play Haaland every week. Then that injury happened. He's been a little subdued on the way back from it. So I sort of feel like this could be a week he gets back into things.
Yeah. No, that's a good call. I think that's it from that one, though, for me. I'll crack on to the second last game of the round. Now, make sure if you have just joined us, get in the comments to get your name on the prize wheel. We'll cut off entries at the end of the team reveals, the team previews, and then at the end, we will spin the wheel. So, second last game, Nottingham Forest versus Leeds. This is another kind of interesting one where I've been tempted by a few but haven't actually followed through, I don't think. Purely because I don't really understand Nottingham Forest at the moment.
Yeah, it's hard to read any of their previous form because they've gone from a defensive manager to an attacker manager to a defensive manager. So, yeah, a bit all over the place. I would like to think they'll revert back to sort of how they were playing last year, which, if it's anything to go by, Sells is going to be really good. I like this matchup because I think it's going to be close. Recent history is hard to read on because Leeds have been in the championship a little bit. A lot of the players that used to play for both of these teams aren't around anymore. So like goal scorer and stuff isn't really there. There has been a clean sheet in 4 of the past 5 games. So I feel like this will be one of the games a clean sheet comes from. Your stats are showing that it's usually good for keepers for Leeds. So you could go for Perry, who looked pretty decent on return. But I'm leaning towards Forest being the better team, and with both teams playing defensively, I think Sells will be quite a decent option. My only worry is that Leeds won't get enough shots on goal, and it sort of turns into a Raya situation. But Calvert-Lewin tends to get some form of shots on. It's just he's not great at putting it either side of the keeper.
I kind of feel like this one's going to be a 0 or draw. Maybe the one kind of clean sheet. Double clean sheet of the round. So it does make the defenders quite tempting in this one, like maybe a Rodon.
Woodmanson comes out really well. He's another one I've had that I've changed out for a Chelsea defender.
Yeah. Nice. So, what about, say, like Longstaff has been performing quite well the last week, not as well, but before that, sitting in the, 15s to 20s and then that 49 a few weeks back. In a game which we probably won't see too many, well, I'm not predicting too many attacking returns. Is it one that you maybe stay away from and look elsewhere?
I hate that they're not playing Stack with him. They've bench Stack the last two because I feel like they work. Well, they might not work really well together. That's probably why Stack's been benched because they play a similar role. But he scores so much better when Stack's playing, and I think it's because they provide for each other.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, but yeah, I
Anderson, another one, just accumulates week to week. So sort of a game he might do that again.
No, that's fair. What about your Williams and your Zinchenko's and those kind of guys?
Hard. They don't really come out high. Like none of the Forest defenders really come out high in any of the statistical areas because Leeds don't. Again, they're like they're not conceding a lot of stats or at least highly. So I'm sort of avoiding them, even though I think they might get a clean. Could change my mind. I'm sort of 50-50 in myself with the keeper from Forest and the defender from Leeds. And then if a nil all happens, it's great. But yeah, I think I'll avoid all the attackers and then probably stick with just that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Right. And then pushing into the last game, which is the game of the round in terms of actual football. Fantasy wise, a little bit nervous about it, but I think Man City versus Liverpool, everyone's still picking Haaland, aren't they? Or is this maybe a...
I am. I've seen a few people that have not picked him. He only has one goal in the last 5 against them, so it's difficult because we haven't looked great defensively. So it could definitely be a game where he just like blitzes through and scores. Virgil van Dijk's marked him out of games pretty convincingly before, but he's been down on form. I feel like the result against Real Madrid, pretty good, but not necessarily a good show of what Haaland will do to us. So I'd still back him in just because everyone's probably still going to play him. And if anybody doesn't and he scores, well, then could be the end of you in the cup because of it.
What have you made of Cherky? It's Cherky. I don't know if that's how you say his name, but he's just been like, it seems like him and Haaland have this bromance kind of link up relationship, maybe like a KDB kind of role where he's just feeding everything into him.
I still prefer Foden. I think now Foden's back on form, Pep just plays Foden all the time, which creates a problem for Cherky because Cherky's probably going to get rotated. And it'll be like one of those ones where it's like, cool, Cherky's definitely in my team this week. I'm going to start him. He's going to do really well. Oh, Cherky's on the bench. So I'm just, the only players I'm picking from City are Haaland, Donnarumma, and Foden.
Yeah, I'm probably not picking Donnarumma, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, not this week, just in general. Like, they're the only players I'm going to go now.
Yeah. Liverpool side, though, a few more kind of consistent. Well, I mean, I guess they've got their injury problems, so they're going to be a much more predictable lineup. But against City, there's a lot of red there on that table of scores against. Is it worth having a crack with them?
You go Sosboy again. Goal and assist in the past 5 with him. He's looked really good at, and he takes set pieces. I don't think we got a lot of corners last week, so that took away from him a bit. He did score an assist that got ruled offside, so that would have ended a really good score for him. And he missed. He did it in the Champions League again. I think it was him this morning that did that. Like easy shot, 1-on-1 with the keeper, and just fluffed it. So he's definitely position-wise getting into spots where he can score. So I'd consider him. Salah's been really good against City. So 3 goals, 3 assists. If it's 8 Newry starting on him, I don't like the matchup. But if it's O'Reilly, which has been the case recently, then I like it a bit more because I think he'll have the experience just to like sell him and go through him, maybe score or at least draw a penalty from him.
Yeah. I've really liked Salah the last few weeks, and he's on the verge of getting back into that like fixture-proof kind of consideration again for me. which is great because I've been kind of accumulating his cards, which is very nice. So hopefully I could buy low, sell high. Um, but yeah, other than that, Van Dijk, you said, has been out of, I guess, form or confidence or whatever it is, and then you don't want to play defenders against Haaland, I don't think, do you?
Yeah, City averaged 2.6 goals at home as well this season. 3.8 goals averaged per game in the City home ends in this fixture as well. So I just wouldn't go near defenders for either team.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. So Haaland, yes. So
Maybe
maybe.
midfield a bit hard to choose. Salah probably just doesn't get in because of how many forward options there are this week. But he's definitely
Mhm.
not a bad pick. You could definitely do worse than picking him.
Yeah. Nah, sweet. And that's all the games for the round. So a lot to kind of consider, especially with so much on the line. First round of the cup. Next slide, I believe, is your side. Now, I just want to double check. You sent me through your classic side, which is
Yeah,
the
that's fine.
side that you're going to be entering the cup,
Yeah,
which
go
means
for
your
it.
opponent's going to see you.
Yeah, I'll change my team anyway before lockout. I
Yeah,
usually
okay.
like this side. I make multiple changes from.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's all right then. I was just a little bit worried that you didn't mean to send this one through for the show, but
Oh, no.
here we go.
They've already made changes from this as well.
Yeah, okay. So, talk me through your decision making while I get the wheel ready.
Yeah, so pretty obvious forward line in Saka and Haaland. I think most people still be playing them. Bowen, a lot of people are going to play because they've started to clock on that he just accumulates anyway on the wing roll. Watkins, again, comes out so good in a lot of things, and I feel like more people will now clock onto him as an option. Midfield, Fernandez, a lot of people are going to play. Paqueta, a lot of people are going to play because of the matchup. Grealish, a lot of people are going to play. Tonali or Bruno Guimaraes, I'm pretty set on playing one of them. And I feel like they'll be fairly unique because a lot of people go down like the Enzo route or the Emblemo route. In defense, Porro might be a popular pick. Depends how people like the United matchup. Double Arsenal defense I've now got instead of Goodmanson there, but it might be Cucurella who comes out for Goodmanson. So defense might shuffle around a fair bit, so I won't spend too much on them. Kyoto obviously there because we talked about him in depth. Pope and
Yeah,
Sells,
nice.
my keepers could change really easy too. I'm not set on them at all. I'm also set on Sells than I am Pope.
Yeah, nice. We'll jump over to my side, which again, I think has probably changed a little bit since this. This is a problem with kind of doing the show not right on deadline because what we put out there is still like we're constantly talking about our sides. We're changing teams all the time. So, but our teams aren't that dissimilar, but there's still a few kind of differences there. Um, but yeah, forward lines basically the same. I've just got Semenyo in at the moment still instead of Bowen, but that's kind of been fluctuating a bit. Midfield, I've got Casado there purely on previous results and matchup, but you raise a good point with Enzo moving back. That's going to probably affect him. So he's going to be the first to come out, I think.
Yeah.
Defense wise, not too dissimilar to you. You've got Senesi in there at the moment, which is another one who's maybe going to come out. And my keeper options have got Leno and Sanchez, which is completely different to yours, but I think I like the matchups for those guys.
I
So
think because there's not a lot of clean sheets, well, in my opinion, there's not going to be a lot of clean sheets on offer. There'll be a whole different range of goalkeepers people go with.
yeah, nice. But that's it. That wraps us up. So what we'll do now is jump over to my account and fire up the wheel. In fact, I'll just get.
It does look nice, Cal. There's actually one on the market that's not too bad at the moment, price wise.
Oh, do you still have one, Cal? That's devastating. That's like I've got two. Sorry,
One's
Cal.
just finished training bib on the substitutes bench for you.
Nice.
Damn, I
But
wish I wasn't behind Hal.
well, if you if you got your name in comment in earlier, Cal, we would have got you on the wheel and you would have had a chance because we are opening All-Star packs. But just too late, unfortunately. So let's share the wheel. Here we go. Decent turnout this week. So we're going to do 3 packs. I'll shuffle the order so we know it's not rigged. Thanks again, Mel, for keeping track of all this in the comments. Yeah, did they win on any of the shows? So that's great that we've got a new winner here. Next up. We have, so it's going to be Timo, second pack. And then third pack is going to go to
Ganners, nice.
Ganners. All right. So, as always, we'll rip open the pack. I'll pick a line. Zonald will pick a line. Third line goes to whoever won that pack. But the last few weeks, we've been giving away a lot more than just that line. So we'll see how we go. But where are we? Packs. To the good old refresh. Change screen. So I've got the packs preloaded this time, thankfully. So before we open it, what line do you want?
I'll go middle.
Cool. So this one's for TCB. I'll go bottom, so top row for TCB. I'm interested to know how many more All-Stars are actually left.
Yeah, you wouldn't think there'd be many if Helen's like right up, almost done.
This, there we go. So you said middle, hey? So we'll do yours first.
Sure.
So we start off with Kanak. Then we have a Milinkovic, gold.
Yeah.
Not bad. And then a Rodney.
Yeah.
So, probably not the best cards. I went bottom row. So start off with Hinshelwood. Then we have a Sosa and a Bergvall. Also not the best. Hopefully we're safe. First up, we have a Simons. That's not bad. Probably a little bit disappointing so far, I'd say. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, I've got his diamond, like 2 of them as well, but they're at like a low point because of his non-performance.
Yeah, nice. And then Mitchell, another great usable card, silver. And then finally, platinum. Platinum Gyökeres. That's a great row. If you had to win one of those rows, that's perfect. So TCB, congratulations. I'll take a quick screenshot just so we know which pack it was. All right. So let's go into the next one. So the next one was Timo.
TCB, you just need to DM on the Discord. Hoss and he'll send them through to you or organize a trade.
Yeah, sounds good. But if not, get in touch with you. All right. Next up, we got Timo. Same order, or do you want to pick a different row?
Oh, I'm fine with Sam.
Yeah, I'll go the same too. I think every All-Star card I've packed has been bottom row, so that's why I go there. So we'll start with you again. Got Gold Bob. Started off good, but maybe not as in favour at the moment.
Yeah, hard to get in that team. A Dingra, same thing.
Dingra. And then a Silver Doku. Not bad. All right. For me, I've got a Woodprouse. Kirkin, and a Rodin, not bad. And then for Timo, got starting off with a gold Kilman, a silver Riyadh, and an All-Star card.
Last one.
Oh, Cal, if you're still watching Cal and this is a Haaland, I'm so
Discord
sorry.
might be deleted.
So, Timo, congratulations, you got yourself an All-Star card. It's just a matter of which one. Who do you reckon it is?
I'd like to say Helen, but I reckon 8 Nuri.
Yeah, okay. It's
Yeah,
Van Dijk.
not too bad.
I mean, that's All-Star card's an All-Star card. That's a great return. So, congratulations. Hit me up in the Discord to claim your cards. But that's pretty
Maybe
good.
give the Classic Cup as well if you're in there, Timo. Which I think I saw Timo asking about his matchup in the Discord.
Yeah, nice. And then finally, we've got Ganners, who has been doing pretty well.
Yeah, I've been speaking a lot about squad building with Ganners and the DMs.
Nice.
They're really knowledgeable.
Same row for you again?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So we start off with you. We have Diarra, gold Livramento, and a gold Tillmans. Yeah. All right, for me, we have a silver Szoboszlai, gold Roberts, and gold Kuna. Not bad.
Very good.
And then for Ganners, hopefully we can get another All-Star for him.
Yeah.
Starting off with a gold Foster, silver Coleman, no All-Star card, and a silver Brooks. That's pretty disappointing there for Ganners, but look, you can have either of my cards if you want there, because I think that's a pretty stitch up after we packed an All-Star for the person before. But that wraps us up. So any final pieces of advice heading into the Cup for anyone?
Maybe go find your opponent and share the team because you can easily get into their.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like some people play mind games about it. Some people will not share their team at all. So whichever's going to work in the end, it's going to I imagine it'll come down to probably goalkeeper selection this week.
Yeah. Just keep in mind, I know it came up a fair bit in the AFLW Cup, which was a part of. Don't necessarily trust what the other person is telling you when they share their squad with you, because I know the person who ended up winning the cup last with the AFLW Cup may have fed a few lies to their opponents about how many cards they had left, who they were playing, things like that, just to kind of get in their heads, which, I mean, great tactic, good on them, respect. But yeah, just make sure that you still focus on your side. One other piece of advice I have for the cup, which I learned the hard way, is remember that in the cup, even if you're behind, you're still playing the whole season. So don't make too many rash decisions to try and catch up. Well, I guess you can't do that with a permanent lockout like we have in football. So it's probably less of a problem, but still focus on your weekly score, because that's what's going to get you in the at the end of the season. You'll be thanking yourself. So yeah, we'll leave it there. Make sure, if you can, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel, just because it really helps us out. Zonald, thanks again, as always. In the next day or so, we'll have your vlog coming out as well, so make sure you keep an eye out for that on the Discord. But yeah, excellent.